it seems unpassable. When we look at what the government tries to solve and they fail in their trying, sometimes our future seems unpassable. Yes, the present seems impossible and the rear seems dangerous because you have Pharaoh's army gaining on you. What do you do when you're between a rock and a hard place? But little did the Israelites know that God's plan to deliver us out of danger are always made in advance. God doesn't run God's business on the spur of the moment. God had already figured out how he was going to redeem his people before they got in trouble. I wish I could make it plain. God says to Moses, now look, here is the plan. And the problem is that we can't panic. We got to be still enough to hear God's plan. The anxiety, the frustration, the fear of failure, the acknowledgement of the possibility of defeat can overwhelm us if we're not careful. We have to be careful enough to hear the word of the Lord. Yes, God said to Moses, now Moses, look, here is the plan. And Pharaoh will say that they're headed back to Baal Zephon. And I will trap them there. I'm going to trap them because they don't have any other place to go. That Moses is a trap, but Pharaoh doesn't know that it's not your trap, but it's a trap for Pharaoh. I want you to know that God works in mysterious ways. We serve a God that we can't figure out. We serve a God sometimes whose plans may seem contrary to the best logic. But you know, Pharaoh fell for the plan. Pharaoh pursued the children of Israel. Here they are, women and men and children with sandals and walking sticks. Yes, but look at Pharaoh. He had 600 chariots and then many more soldiers dressed in armor. Pharaoh and his army approached them by the sea. Reverend Buford read that when they saw the army of Pharaoh, they cried out in great fear. Not a little fear, but in great fear. Sometimes we forget that we serve a great God. Sometimes we forget that the God that we serve is greater than even the greatest fear. So they cried out to the Lord. And I wonder why the people of Israel panicked. Why did they give in to fear? Yes. Have you ever given in to fear? Have you ever asked yourself, why am I afraid? Have you ever asked yourself, why am I discouraged? Have you ever asked yourself, why do I feel like giving up? You see, fear will make you do some ungodly things. Fear made the nation of Israel turn against the leader. In Israel, it was Tea Party time. They had a Tea Party movement going. The Tea Party movement wanted to blame Moses. Just like the Tea Party today want to blame Barack Obama for everything. They said to Moses, weren't there any graves in Egypt where we could have been buried? Have you taken us from Egypt to die out here in this wilderness? Yes, didn't we tell you when we were in Egypt that we would rather serve the Egyptians than to die in the wilderness? Somehow past oppression seems better than present circumstances. You know, we have short memories. We say that the good old days were the best days. But I'm not sure that the good old days were all that good. Yes, Israel was afraid, I tell you, because they had their eyes on the Egyptians. They saw the 600 chariots. They saw the mighty army of Pharaoh. But fear caused them to forget what God had already done for them. Yes, if you could just reason with me a little while. When you come down to your Red Sea, and if you keep living, you'll find yourself between a rock and a hard place. But when you get down there, don't panic. Remember what the Lord has done for you in the past. If I could make it plain, I tell you, He's the same God now that He was then. And you ought to just think about that line in Amazing Grace. It says, through many dangers, toils and snares, I've already come. 'Twas grace that brought me. And I want you to know He's the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. I wish I could make it plain. Yes, God of their weary years, God of their silent tears, was already working out a plan to redeem them in their circumstances. Yes, while we are asleep, God is at work. When we think God has forgotten about us, He's working on our behalf. When it looks like the enemy is about to defeat us, God is working on our behalf. Yes! Yes! He never slumbers He's the God of our circumstance. Yes, you may not be responsible for your circumstance, but don't worry. Put it in the Lord's hand. Yes. If I could make it plain. Sometimes the road gets rocky. Sometimes the Lord gets heavy. Sometimes the problems get so great I can't see my way. But I've learned to trust in God. I've learned to trust in Jesus. He will make a way. He doesn't need my help. He's God all by himself. Yeah. He's a God of your circumstance. Yes! Must not hold you too long. But I saw a movie and I kept watching that movie over and over. It was a movie about World War II when the Japanese were moving deeper into China. And they were ready to take a city called Yancheng. Well, in Yancheng, there was a missionary. Yes, Sister Gladys was her name. And when she heard that the Japanese were coming, she said, I have no alternative but to take these children over the mountain, over into free China. And so they started on their journey over the mountain into free China. And when they got half of the way, yes, she became discouraged. And she only had one adult assistant with her. Yes! She thought she was by herself. But she didn't know that the Lord was with her. She couldn't see her help. And so she was about ready to give up. And God speaks through mysterious ways. God used a 13-year-old child, a little girl, to raise up her bowed down head. She told Sister Gladys that you used to read to us the story of Moses leading the children of Israel across the Red Sea. And Sister Gladys looked at the 13-year-old child and said, I'm not Moses. She said, the little